8,000 years in the future, a group of species from every corner of the galaxy meets on a desert planet that is rich in the universe's most valuable resource, a drug called spice. This drug is the only thing that makes interstellar travel possible. And also, this desert planet has some 400-meter-long sandworms. The first time I heard about Dune, I was 12 years old. The kid who sat in front of me in English class always talked about how Dune was his favorite book of all time. And he's not alone. It is widely considered to be the most influential sci-fi novel ever written. Shamefully, I still haven't read the book. I've also not seen the original movie from the early 80s directed by David Lynch. I once found a VHS copy of that movie when cleaning out my grandfather's house after he passed away. I'm sure he recorded it off HBO, but when I tried to watch it, the tape had degraded so much, I just couldn't tell what was going on. What this means is I came into Dune knowing literally nothing about it. This is a hard sci-fi story. And the incredible world that Denis Villeneuve created feels very lived in, maybe a little bit too much so. My brain just doesn't have the energy or the time to invest into learning the hundreds of years of geopolitical history between the telepaths and the sand people and the guys who were bald to wear all black leather and, whoever else I'm forgetting. While reading the novel before watching this movie is not really a requirement, I do feel like it would have helped me understand a little bit better about what was going on. Even so, Denis Villeneuve is still in the 100% Directors Club, and what that means is that every movie he's ever directed is worth watching. For me, the 4 most important movies of his to watch are Arrival, Blade Runner 2049, Enemy, and Prisoners. All of those movies are incredible to watch visually, have intriguing storylines, and not enough people have seen them. And his distinct style of big budget filmmaking really shines through here. The setting of Dune feels like a mix of 2 things. The dry, sandy heat of tans and browns that we see in Frank Miller's incredible Mad Max Fury Road, mixed with the giant concrete structures that looked like they came straight out of Blade Runner 2049. And the costumes, the set pieces, and the cinematography of this new Dune feel timeless. 20 years from now, we're going to look back and this movie's still going to feel fresh. Dune is the definition of a big screen movie. No matter how big of a screen and how loud of a sound system you watched it on, you're going to wish the screen was bigger and the speakers were louder. The spaceships are massive, emerging out of the water. The buildings are massive, both on the inside and the outside. The sandworms are massive. The booming Hans Zimmer score, it's massive. And the 2 huge action stars, Jason Momoa and Dave Bautista, well, they actually kind of look small in comparison to all of the other massive things in this movie. But here's the thing, I'm not positive that I loved Dune, and I kept going back and forth over whether or not I was even going to review it for this channel. The whole point of my channel is to review movies that I enjoy and think other people who like movies like I like movies will also enjoy. And I'm still kind of on the fence to whether Dune even falls into this category. Now, part of this is my fault because I didn't do my research beforehand. I didn't read the book. I didn't know about the characters. I didn't know about the geopolitical struggles of these different races. But I shouldn't have had to know those things. It's the job of the director to explain them to me. I'm giving the director a little bit of a break because this is only part 1 of a 2-part story. And because this is only part 1, it doesn't really feel like a complete story. It doesn't have the same ebbs and flows of an emotional roller coaster that a traditional movie would have. This feels kind of just like Act 1 of a story, so it feels incomplete. I imagine in 2023, when the sequel to Dune comes out and you watch the 2 movies back to back, it will feel more like a cohesive story, one that I could recommend to people. But unfortunately, by the time that happens, we're talking about a 5-hour movie, and a movie that's that long and this densely packed with information, it just is not going to be something that I'm going to watch over and over again. Now, even though this first part of Dune doesn't really work as a standalone movie, it's still totally worth watching just to see the visuals and to hear the sound. Everything in the movie looks incredible. And I fully expect it to clean up all of the technical awards at the Oscars. It's hard to pick a favorite part of the world because everything is just so big and massive and stuff we've never seen before. But I particularly loved the helicopters in the movie that looked and flew like dragonflies. And then there, of course, are the sandworms, which are some of the largest movie monsters that have ever been put on screen. And George Lucas absolutely stole them and put them in Star Wars. But I kind of wish that we'd seen more of the sandworms in Dune. Maybe we'll see more of them in part 2. Now, each race of people in Dune have their own unique and quirky characteristics. My favorite is how the Sand People show respect when they're meeting people. Now, I won't say what they do, but let's just say, here on Earth, we do not consider this a sign of respect. However, when they explain why the people do what they do, it makes perfect sense. Even though I didn't love Dune, and I probably don't need to watch it over and over again, I'm still looking forward to the conclusion of the story, even though I'm going to have to wait 2 years to see it. Dune isn't for everyone, but if it's for you, and you should know if it is for you, you're going to be in for a real treat. A palette of tans and browns, mud baths, nose plugs, poison needles, really long legs, sandworms.